Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I hope you're having a great day wherever you are, whatever time of day you happen to be watching. It's Naturally Nat. It's a nice day out today. It's a little bit warmer than it's been, and it's windy. I wish I could open the windows, but my wind chimes are just ringing all over the place. So I believe not too far back, I taught you how to make a simple croque monsieur, or actually croque madame, right? Which is just a French ham and cheese, if we're going to be honest, but it's with the volume turned up, and it is so elegant that you can make it for yourself and a loved one, or even for a dinner party, or even on a weeknight if you did a little prep, which ties into what we're going to do today. Today we're going to prep, not meal prep, sauce prep. We're going to sauce prep a bechamel, okay? Now a bechamel is what goes into the croque madame, but a bechamel has so many uses that it's not a bad idea to prep it in advance, freeze it little packets in your freezer, and use it for all kinds of things during the weekdays. For example, with the bechamel, if you have extra bechamel, and you're like, what should I do? I got a cup of bechamel, I don't know what to do with it. You could hard boil some eggs, dice them up, throw them in the bechamel, and boy is that good on toast for breakfast or breakfast for dinner. You could use bechamel with a little parmesan added to it for a variety of pasta sauces, and one of my favorites is for a white pizza, right? A pizza bianco. There's no such thing as a bad, having a little extra bechamel, and how that can be a bad thing. The only bad thing is if you don't have enough. Now there's a lot of recipes out there in cookbooks and on the internet that make a ton. I've seen recipes for a quart, for 2 quarts, like really? I guess if you are running a kitchen in a commune, or you have a family of 40, I don't like to make that much. So I'm going to show you kind of a smallish version that you can make with almost all shelf-stable ingredients, except for the butter, okay? And if there was a way to do that, I'd figure out how to do that from a shelf-stable ingredient, but I can't. You got to have butter. So bechamel's good. Make it, have it. It's super easy to have on hand. Oh, I forgot another thing to add. Bechamel's good in a red and white lasagna, which I'm going to make one of those this winter. And you can, bechamel with cheese is basically sauce mornay, and you can add any kind of cheese. I like to add a little parm to my bechamel, which I like to do that because it gives it a little structure. So let's go ahead and get started on this recipe today, and I'm going to show you the ingredients, okay? First of all, you're going to need, and this recipe I'm going to show you today only makes 2.5 cups. That's what it yields, which I think is perfect if you're a family of 2, a family of 1, and want some extra in the freezer, or even a family of 3 or 4. I think that's fine, but you can double it if you want. Now, I'll tell you what, I never have milk in the refrigerator. I mean, sometimes I do, if I know I'm going to be baking a lot, but a lot of times I don't. Now, I don't know about you, but I really recommend keeping milk, canned milk, on hand in your pantry. You'll use it, believe me, trust me. And I just ran out, and I don't want to go to the grocery store today. So I also keep this old thing on hand, which your grandma might have had in her pantry. And to zhuzh it up some, I don't know if your grandma did this, but I keep heavy cream powder in my pantry. This doesn't last forever, right? Anything that's got any kind of oil in it will inevitably spoil. This has solids of cream in it. But when they're mixed together with some lukewarmish water, you get a good milk substitute. Now, would I say put this in the fridge and drink it with some fresh cookies? Heck no, because it's not going to taste like fresh milk. For the bechamel that I'm making today, I've also made this with oat milk and with almond milk. A little different, still good though, still good. Would a sharp palate know the difference? For sure, but would most people? Probably not. So you're going to need this, whether you use the fresh milk. Whole milk is best, as always, with a lot of baking and cooking, but you know, skim is just fine. And what I'm doing, oh, there you go. You need 4 tablespoons of butter, which I'm going to go ahead. It's probably going to get snappy on me because I have this preheated. Or not. Okay. There it is. It is getting a little snappy on me. You're going to need also the ratio of half to half of flour and butter. Now the great thing is, that's nutmeg if you're wondering what's on that plate. Half flour to half butter if you want to make a small batch. Like the other day I made farm style green beans and white sauce. Oh my gosh, is that good? I'm going to show you how to make that sometime. And I only wanted a little bit. I only wanted half a cup of bechamel. So I turned it down to I think 1 tablespoon and 1 tablespoon of butter to 1 tablespoon of flour, and I made a small amount, very small bechamel. But today, equal measurements, and this is 4 tablespoons or a quarter cup of flour, 4 tablespoons butter. It doesn't matter if you have salted or unsalted. This little guy is nutmeg. We're going to put a little bit of him in at the end. You're going to need a little salt and pepper. I don't hold off on the coarse ground pepper for something like this. You want the fine ground pepper that comes in the tin, right? Because this is a simple sauce. You can even put a little bit of white pepper in there, but I wouldn't recommend doing that. You just want a little bit of black pepper. Don't get too funky with what you add in. So you want to bring the butter over a medium heat just to melt, okay? And I'm getting where I'm saying that is close enough. Then you're going to want to add your flour. Now, we're not really making a roux per se, like making a roux for gumbo, right, or something like that. We are just really cooking the raw flour taste, if you will, out of the flour. So I'm not going for any kind of color here. I don't know if you can see. Hopefully you can. I am just cooking out that flour. I mean, you could set a timer for 2 minutes. I think that's what they recommend. I just go by a feeling. I'm going to go for, well, how many seconds has this been? 20, 30? I'm just going to go, and I'm kind of going by smell too. You just want to cook that flour out a little bit. Now, some recipes say that you got to add this hot. Mine is still just a little lukewarm from when I was reconstituting, is that what I want to say? The heavy cream powder with the dry milk powder to make my faux milk, or I don't know what you'd call it, but you know, my milk in a pinch, if you will. And I'd say that's been probably long enough. I'm going to go ahead. It's good for this, what we're making today, to have a couple different whisks, and that is definitely what I have today. I'm going to add a little bit of the milk. Now you want to go a little bit at a time because you don't want a lot of lumps, you know, but don't get yourself all freaked out because the lumps will generally cook out. Now see how quickly this thickens up? I put some in and it thickened up immediately. You know, if you've got a little helper in your kitchen, right, or if you're doing this with your partner or your best friend or your housemate, it's kind of handy if you can have them just stand beside you and put the milk in a little at a time. Then you will get absolutely no lumps. I might switch over to my bigger one. You know, the only thing I don't like about this, a lot of whisks, is they don't stay in the spoon holders. I wish I could find a whisk that sits in my spoon holder or sits in the pan without flipping out. Is that just me, or have you done that about a million times? You put it on here, you turn to go to the sink, and it goes foink on the floor. It's happened to me about 20,000 times. Now, as you can see, the consistency here is kind of like heavy gravy. Yep, it is. And I don't have a lot of lumps. It's pretty homogeneous. Ooh. She's pulling the milk in, pouring the milk in a little faster now. You don't have to go microscopically slow. The point is, you just want to add it a little at a time, if anything, so you don't get sauce everywhere, right? You want to keep your cleaning to a minimal. See how nice and smooth she is? Okay, I'm gonna add a little bit more. Yeah, when I was making the bechamels last week, whenever it was for me and Daniel, that took the last of my 2 bechamel packets that I always keep in the freezer. And for just making these, And I was like, hey, I got to make more sauce whether I like it or not. And you know what? With holidays or special occasions, it's really nice to have some of this in your freezer. Now that I've mentioned earlier, a pizza with a white sauce and red and white lasagna, man, that sounded good. I'm wanting to make that here soon. We're almost getting to the end, and then we're going to flavor our bechamel. The mother sauce, right? One of the French mother sauces like Mornay and Hollandaise and Bernaise, right? All delicious sauces. Okay. Starting to see here. Nice consistency. If you coat the back of a spoon, it's going to leave a little, I don't know what you call it, trail mark. And it won't cover back up where you ran your finger across the back of the spoon. Now, I don't know if I'm going to need all this milk. I'm going to let this sit just a second. You don't want to bring this to a boil either. But I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to flavor this with a pinch of pepper, a pinch of salt. Now, I'm not going to give it a lot of salt because let me tell you why. I like a lot of my bechamels to have, like I said, I might have said earlier, just a smidge of real parmesan thrown in. I think it just builds a nice structure and flavor. So I'm not going to put gobs, and if that looks like gobs, that's not. The salt doesn't come out very fast. And let me give that a stir. Yep, I don't think I'll be needing that rest of that milk. Yeah, see if I were to put this here, it would fly onto the floor and aggravate me. Now I'm going to use my microplaner. Ta-da! Let's put a little bit of, and you don't need to measure this, folks. If you were using the kind that you don't do this to, you know, the kind in a bottle, you'd put like 1/8 of a teaspoon, I'm guessing. So I'm just, you know, with nutmeg, you just measure with your heart. Go ahead. Oh yeah, it's starting to thick up a little bit more. In fact, I bet I could have gone with maybe 2 tablespoons less of my milk in here. This is a little thin, but again, I think the parm is the trick here. It gives it a little structure. And I'm going to put in, this is just, you don't want to use the parm. I mean, you could use the parm that comes in a can. I'm not a fan of that, although it has its place. There's certain things I absolutely use that stuff with. I'm just adding a little zhuzh. Oh yeah, it changes the structure a little bit. Oh, nice. It smells, it just smells good. I can't describe it. It's a very mild scent. When I say it, I mean a little bit more. And the, not even a quarter a cup. Maybe a quarter cup. The bechamel just has a lovely, I don't know how to describe it. It's just a very mild, buttery scent. And that is it, folks. I think this is good to go. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to move it to a cool burner. I'm going to let that get room temperature. Then I'm going to tear off about, I don't know, 6 to 9 pieces of plastic, about yay big. I'm going to take my, probably my quarter cup, because I'm going to make single packets of bechamel, single for one person. If you were doing bechamel for 2 people for Croque or Croque Madame or Monsieur, or for other things you might want to use, 1/3 of a cup or even 1/2 a cup. It depends on what you're going to grab those little packets and use them for, right? And then wrap them up neatly in the plastic wrap, put them upside down in a Ziploc. You could use one of these. I don't have a big enough one of these. I'm going to have to use the kind the throwaway kind, which I don't ever throw away. I keep using until they have a hole. And then I'm going to keep it in my freezer, not my storage freezer, but my freezer in my kitchen, because that's how often I use those bechamel packs. Let's do the spoon test and see how thick it is. Oh yeah, it'll get a little bit of a skin on it if you let it sit here. Don't worry, that's not going to hurt anything. You give it another stir with your whisk and the skin just dissolves back in there. You do this, the spoon test. Oh yeah, totally done. In fact, I might change my mind and add maybe 1 more tablespoon of milk when this cools off if it's too gelatinous. Now, look, it's already cooling really quick, getting the skin. Again, not a big deal. If you want it thinner, let's say if you're like, oh, I want it thinner for my pizza sauce, I don't want to use this for, just add a little bit more milk. Better to have it the consistency where you're considering adding a little more liquid than as opposed to having it be too thin, because you can't thick it up once it's like this. And this is pretty thick. It's just going to get thicker upon standing. I think I'm going to leave it probably as I probably won't add any liquid. So I'm going to get to packing this in a little bit. Go ahead, give this a try. I'll put the my general recipe down below in the show. Now, it's also know you can add a little more salt or pepper or nutmeg if you want to your taste. You could even add a little garlic powder or even a little onion powder. That probably wouldn't hurt anything. Make it even all the better. I might sneak a little bit of that in there. So go ahead, give it a try. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. It really helps me. Please give it a like. Feel free to drop a comment if you want. Hit the notifications tab, the bell, and you'll get a reminder that I have a video up. Otherwise, you have a super great day. Love you all. I will see you next time.